Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the Screenwriting Step-by-Step Project, episode 217. My name is Glenn Gers, and I come to you every Monday through Friday, if I can make it, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to let you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I write a script. I'm doing this to demystify the script writing process, the part of script writing that people, I think, kind of underteach. They talk about what makes a great script, what makes a script that sells, but we don't talk about how you can't write a great script or a selling script if you can't actually write the script. And so that's all I'm trying to talk about. The day-to-day, line-by-line process of getting all those thoughts and ideas into an outline, into a form, into script format, into scenes on the page, and then going through that and making it clearer and more readable and a better story until you've got a finished script. Because that process, that's it. That's the name of the game. I don't want to tell you what kind of script to write. I don't want to tell you if you're going to write a good script or a bad script. I can just say, if you want to write a script, you got to find a process, a daily routine that you can work on. Find yours. I'm going to show you the things that I learned in a 25-year career writing for TV and movies. I figured out these tools, these tricks, these techniques that I think are useful. I'm going to let you watch me walk through them so that when you face the blank page, maybe some of them can be things you can try. That's all there is to this. There is no grand promise. There is no grand plan. It's just tools, skills, ways to approach things. And you use that for whatever you're doing. Long script, short script, TV script, web series, movie, all the same deal. It's a process that you need. Okay. Hello, Di. Hello, Lysanda. Very nice to meet you. I have not met you yet. So I've been away for most of a week because I got sick. I am better now, better-ish. Thank you. Yes, I am feeling much better. We will see how the hour goes, but so far so good. If I do a bit of coughing or sniffling, I apologize, but otherwise, good to go. And I am looking forward to getting back to the script. So yeah, let's get right back into it because we got into this scene with Madeline and Zena, and we were about to hit a transition point, a point at which Madeline, having kind of defending herself from a very aggressive Zena, begins to actually talk to her, share with her. However, I also think this joke just doesn't work. The whole corkboard crew. We're all here for you. The whole corkboard crew. You know, this is one of those things that reads okay on the page. I don't know that it's going to, I don't know if an actor can say it out loud. So I'm trying to think if there's a better way. The whole corkboard crew is here for you. The entire corkboard crew. The whole corkboard crew is here for you. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. The whole cork. That sounds like... Yeah. Okay. Hello, Jean. Good to see you. I am just starting to tweak this dialogue here. We are all here for you. We are all here for you. The whole corkboard crew. That sounds like a kids TV show. It sounds like a kids TV show. I kind of want to. Sounds like Howdy, Aspen Ruins. Runes. Nice to see you. We're all here for you, the whole corkboard crew. On the paper bag, see. The corkboard crew on the cardboard ocean. On the cardboard ocean. The whole corkboard crew. On the paper bag, the cardboard. On the cardboard ship. On the cardboard ship. Corkboard crew on the cardboard ship. No, corkboard yarn and pins. It's a community of home-based, non-professional detectives who meet online to in the crowd. That's where I met George. Works. All right. Hi, Larry. Good to see you. Corkboard Yard and Pins. It's a community of home-based, non-professional detectives. Home-based, non-professional detectives who meet online. Meet in the Crimecracker forums. Meet online to solve in the Crimecracker forums. Who meet in the Crimecracker online forums. Who meet... Yeah, that's not right. Who meet in the Crimecracker forums, the Crimecracker online forums. See, this is a very long sentence, but it's, thank you, Natasha. Yes, I am feeling much better. I had plenty of rest and plenty of fluids, and it's all okay now. Corkboard Yard and Pins. It's a community of home-based non-professional detectives who meet in the Crimecracker forums to solve cold cases. Who meet online in the Crimecracker. Who meet online in the Crimecracker. Who meet online in the Crimecracker forums to solve cold cases. That's where I met George. No, it's not quite flowing. You're welcome, Ghost Beetles. It's very nice to have you join us. Got a couple of first-time joinees, and I am very glad to have you too. Thank you. Welcome. I'm just messing with the words. This is where we're just polishing the words, because you got to get it to flow. Here's the thing. I can get it to flow for the read. Like, I can get it to a good readable line, but I just don't think it's actable. I don't think when someone says it, it's going to be convincing. There's too much information, too carefully wrought for this character. There are people who speak formally. Xena is not one. So the carefulness of this paragraph is not working for me. That's, you know what it is? It's too long. We meet, it's a community of home-based detectives. Do I need to say non-professional? Home-based detectives. It's a community of home-based detectives who meet online in the Crime Cracker forums to solve cold cases. See, that sounds more like Xena. That's, yeah, thank you, Lysanda. I got to tell you, that's the thing. I mean, when I never even occurred to me that people would be able to catch me live. The odds of your schedules and my schedules coinciding are extraordinarily slim. Plus, when you take into account time zones and the fact that for many people, I am doing this at like 1 in the morning, yeah, it's just not going to happen. So the fact that anyone would be online live and watching me is astonishing to me. I always do this assuming that this is actually just a replay for most people. But I got to say, it's great to have you and Ghost Beetles here to catch it. And please do take advantage of that to ask questions if you want. This is the reason I did this whole project was partly just to give myself an excuse to hang around online for an hour at a time so that people could find me and ask questions. Like Mohammed. Hi, Mohammed. Please explain how setup payoff works. How many times can you use it in a script? Infinitely. Infinitely. In a sense, everything is a setup and a payoff. Not everything, but almost everything in a script is setups and payoffs. A setup and payoff is very simple. It's something, it can be anything in which there is a piece or an element or a question that is established in one scene, and then later on there is an answer to it, a reaction to it, anything where you put a thing down into the story and then later it either gets used or it changes things or it comes in handy or it makes a problem later. Anything like that. Setup and payoff is exactly what it says. Something goes in and is set up, and then it pays off. It happens. It is of use or has an effect in another place. That is all that setup and payoff are, and they are everything. Because if you think about it, for instance, when you introduce a character like crime crackers. So let's just do crime crackers. I set up crime crackers. This is page 11. About 3 or 4 pages earlier. Here on page 7, I have the police officer being angry at George. And the reason he's George is he's a crime cracker. So crime crackers are set up initially as a bunch of losers, a bunch of he explains what it is. It's a website about unsolved cases, people with nothing to do, so they do my job badly. Web sleuths, okay. And Madeline agrees, that sounds bad. So that's the setup of Crime Crackers. There's actually an earlier setup because the title of this show is Crime Crackers, okay? So we have set up Crime Crackers. We set up Crime Crackers as the title. As soon as the setup there is, it's a question. What are crime crackers? Is it a thing you eat? Is it somebody who cracks crimes? Is it people who are crackers, mentally crazy about crime or from crime? We don't know what crime crackers is when we see it as a title. Then Elms describes what it is as something that we all have a common understanding, is that there's groups of people online that we consider crazy, lunatic fringe, foolish. It's an online group. That's what we know. But then later, 5-6 pages later, this person starts calling Madeline. Now, we don't know who she is, right? And then she says, yeah. And Xena gushes and makes a personal connection. And then she says, yeah, we're in Crime Crackers. And Madeline says, Crime Crackers. So basically what's happened is Xena, who was winning her way into our affections, is suddenly revealed as a crime cracker, which we have already established, we set up as people who should not be taken seriously. So this undermines Xena in this scene. That's a payoff to the earlier scene setting it up. And frankly, the crime crackers is going to continually be set up, paid off in new and different ways. Crime crackers becomes a group that Madeline and Norman are drawn into. So what that is that I've set up in the title of the show this concept of online amateur detectives, of web sleuths. And once that setup is then established with the cop, it is then paid off with variations. In other words, it is reused. It comes in handy. It can be paid off, used, played with. That's what a setup and a payoff is. A setup and a payoff is there are literally no end to how useful they are. Setups and payoffs can be somebody's carrying where was it? What was it that there's somebody's got a pen. Oh, in Lightyear, the movie Lightyear, there's this pen, which one character just keeps on holding. And of course, at a certain point, they need an object. The pen is useful. Setup and payoff. You can set up with a question. You can set up with an item. You can set up with a place. Whatever you are setting in the story and then using, ideally in a new and unexpected way, that's setup and payoff. Okay, and you can use it there's no end to how many setups and payoffs you can have. Essentially, like I said, everything is a setup and a payoff. Every scene is setting up a new character or a new bit of information or a new element, some part of the story, which will then pay off. It raises questions, it creates problems, which will then pay off later. So everything is setups and payoffs. Hi, Thumper. I am starting to get congratulations. I hope they pay you. They should pay for this. You may not be able to answer this, but with my non-unit, what payment would be reasonable for? That's actually outside of my abilities to answer, because it depends on a lot of things. What is the budget of the project? In other words, if they are planning to sell it for $10 million, then, $250,000 is a reasonable thing. However, since we don't know how much something is going to be sold for, usually the question is, how much can they afford and how much do you actually need? Because they are taking an amount of your time, and that time has to be, you have to pay your rent, you have to do all these things. So therefore, it's a balance between what you need and what you think you deserve and what they can afford and what the scale of the project is going to be. If it's going to be a little DIY project where everyone's going to take as little as possible because it's not going to make any money, then $1.50 is completely fine. It depends on what you're getting out of it and what you're doing it for and what you can afford, because you can't give more than you can. There's one thing. It's one thing to do creative work and not make any money. It's another thing to actually lose money doing it, to go into debt or to spend time that you can't afford to spend, that's not a wise choice on your part. You should only do that for something that you own, that you believe in, that you are going to have the potential at least to have some reason that you did it. The other thing that you should do is see there are the Writers Guild has minimums that are in the Minimum Basic Agreement, MBA, which is on their WGA.org website. So go to WGA.org, look for the MBA. It's a gigantic book-length document, but if you flip through, you'll find minimums of like what a treatment gets paid for if you're in the union, what a first draft gets paid for. These are very weird, and they have different budget levels, and it's enormously complicated. However, it'll give you a rough sense of what things are paid for in the business. And then it depends. Like if you're dealing with a producer who has made projects and is working in Hollywood, they should be paying you close to what they would be paying a union writer. If you are working with someone who's an amateur who has no money of their own, that's fine. Don't charge them a lot. See what I'm saying? Okay. Must all setups have payoffs? Essentially, I mean, basically, if it's not paid off, it's not a setup. It's just a thing. You know, it's just a character or a line. It's just an item. Anything that is paid off was a setup, but not everything is a setup. Does that make sense? No, it's not necessary. If you think of some, I would definitely do it. This definitely comes up and is explained in detail in my how to outline video, which I urge you to watch. And then I also would suggest just why outline, just because it's nice. And it helps with understanding it. But how to outline, I really talk about what I think a good outline structure is. For me, what I want to do is I have a room to put dialogue if I think of it, but is it necessary to add dialogue? Absolutely not. Not in the least little bit. You are welcome, Muhammad. Okay, they're willing to pay. Excuse me. How much money do they have? You know. If they are, you know, multimillionaires, then get yourself a hefty chunk of change there. If they are someone who's just struggling to pay their rent, you know, and they can give you a couple $100, and maybe that's worth it to you. Oh gosh, yes, it is absolutely. It is. It would be foolish not to ask that. Now here's the deal: clients are very often wannabe directors, wannabe producers, and their budgets are usually unrealistic. They're like, well, when we get, you know, Zendaya to star in this, we're going to get $100 million to budget it. But, you know, you should have a sort of rough sense of what actual budgets are for projects like this. If it's an indie project, the budget's actually very small. The budget can be as low as a few $1,000s, or it can be as high as a few million. So that's what I would say is, yeah, you definitely can ask and once again, I think this is really important. You are not in the business in the sense that if you have an agent, like your agent's job is to take them for everything they're worth. Your agent's job is to say, how can I get more from them? It doesn't matter if you like the producer, if you love the project, if you would do it for free. The agent's job is to say, what can I get you? And that's good. That's their job. If you don't have an agent, if you're not doing that kind of business, and if you, the question is, are you working with someone who has worked in the industry already? In other words, if they have industry money flowing in and out of their company, then you should be paid close to the minimum, the bottom of what professionals get paid. If you are dealing with someone who's also a aspiring person, an aspiring producer who's like, I'm going to put this script together, I'm going to take it to festivals, I'm going to take it to conferences, I'm going to try and get it made, the odds of them making any money are very slim. So they have to, their actual working capital is just what they can afford to lose. You should not make them pay more than they can afford to lose. If you need it, like when I was working on something, one of the things I said was, well, if I have to stop temping in order to do this, I need to have as much income as my temp job would have had. So that was a certain amount. I knew how much I made per week as a temp. And I said, okay, every month I need 4 weeks worth of temp work, money, after tax temp income. So that's how much I needed. I needed, a few thousand a month to get by. If I was going to write it and it was going to take 2 months, then I needed, $8,000. If the person didn't have $8,000, I had to decide, do I want to, find some other way to make that money and or borrow it or take it out of my savings. But I wouldn't do that with someone else's project. If you're going to take time and go into your savings or your debt, don't go into debt ever. But not for art. If you really shouldn't have to go into debt for art. You should always be able to work with what you've got, especially in the digital world. So therefore, what I would say is, if you're like, I'm going to take a month off from work, and if you can do that, that's why I was a temp, so I could do that. If I'm going to take a month off from work and no one's paying me, that should be something that at the end of whatever I'm writing, I own it. If you write something for a producer and they give you $20 for it, you don't own it, which means if it all falls apart or if they ruin it or if they can't get it made, you've given them thousands of dollars worth of your value for nothing. But if you do that for yourself, if you write a script and then for the rest of your life, you have that script and that script is worth that to you. I did that all the time. I would take my time, my money, and say, I'm going to put it into writing a script for a month. And then I would do that, but I would never do that if somebody else owned it. And if you're writing for a client, even if that's when you don't own it. This is very, very important. Yeah. It doesn't matter if his idea, it's not about the reason. It really, it has to do with how much it will cost you to take the time to do the writing. Now, the other thing you can do is say, you know what, I'll charge you $100, but it's going to take me 6 months because I'm only going to do it on weekends and after work. So if you don't mind waiting 6 months, you can have this for $100. I don't mind doing my after work, writing on your project because I think you might get it done. Cool. That's great. It's complicated. You have to get your head set into not believing that someone else's property or abilities or they know somebody that's worth your going out on the line for. It's very important to protect yourself. Good. All right, Blake, would it be worthwhile or a waste of time to effort questions too for the main? No. First of all, these questions are just tools. They are just that you could answer 3 and 5. They're just things to help you get a grip on who the people are and what the story is. And each character has their own story. So yeah, in theory, you can answer those questions for every single character. And plus, you can even answer them for every single scene. Okay? You can say, who is this scene about? It doesn't have to be your main character. Your main character might not even be in every scene. So the question is, who is the scene about? And then, what is this scene? What do they want in the scene? Et cetera, et cetera. So these questions are simply a tool to use if you don't feel like you have a good grasp of what's happening in the story or who the people are. That is entirely the purpose of the famous 6 questions. These 6 questions are detailed in this video, the 6 essential questions. But urgently that you recognize the popular Film Courage video where I talk about the 6 questions. They titled it, "If you don't have the answer to these 6 questions, you don't have a story." I love them to death for that. We're coming up on 2 million views on that thing because of this snazzy title that hooked the algorithm, and this thing went crazy. However, I never would have said that. And they know that, and I bless them, and it's all good. But I do not believe that you, quote, don't have a story. That's nonsense. You might easily have a story without those 6 questions. Those 6 questions are just tools. This is very important to remember. And this goes for mine as well as anybody else. Rules are tools. They are not absolute. They are not necessary. There is no such thing as a rule to writing. There's just tools, things that you can say, oh, this helps me to figure out how many scenes to put in or who this character is. Cool. That's good. All right. Hello, good content. Yes, absolutely. Okay. When coming up with a dialogue for a character, how is it important that the voice of the character in your head while coming up with the words? I think that's very important, but, big but, that does not mean you actually have to have a specific physical audible voice. When we say voice of a character, we mean their attitude, their personality, their intention, their interest. That's their particular style. That's the voice of a character. I actually don't know what any of my characters actually sound like. Like, are they high-pitched or low-pitched? I don't know. But I do have the voice in the sense that when Xena talks, I know that she's got a certain social media influenced tone. She is not, she's very up. She's also very urgently trying to win people over. So I know that voice. Madeline is more wary and short and critical. So the answer is, how important is the voice of the character? It's very important. You want to every character has their own way of speaking and their own attitude in the moment. Now and then, Xena could get clipped. Madeline could get long. But it's because that voice has hit a point where they need to speak in that way. Does that make sense? Okay. I had a chance to pitch a feature idea to a producer. He liked it. I sent him a log line. He sent me this email. Okay, I'm going to, well, don't know yet what that email is. Okay. Yeah, I have had times, you're welcome. I have had times when I have applied those questions to a line of dialogue. In other words, what are they saying? What are they trying to say here? What do they want? And why is that not easy, et cetera, et cetera. These questions are just approach. Yes. Good. Is there a book you recommend, like a toolkit to create stories? No, I'm the book. I'm who I recommend. Like a set of placeholders to help. No, absolutely not. I hate that stuff. I think that thing that you're saying is my mortal enemy. That is the anti-Glenn. The idea that there is such a thing as a formula for stories is, to me, fascism. It's the Nazis of writing. I believe that there are many placeholder formulae, and the thing you want to do is figure out what yours is for this project. Every single project will be made up of a whole bunch of things that you're pulling from, and the formula that you're creating is to say, oh, I'm going to take the structure of The Godfather and the the way of talking of Little Miss Sunshine, and I'm going to put them together. Then you take the formula of those things. You say, well, how do they do that? Which is where I use this video. Hold on. I believe that every single thing that an artist does is to reach out to all the things that appeal to you. There is no right or wrong story. Okay, there is no formula. Hollywood has certain formulae. There are plenty of people who will tell you the Hollywood formula. I'll tell you the secret, which is why this bites. They all tell you a different formula, okay? If there was a formula, they would all tell you the same formula, but they don't. All these different writing teachers are telling you the formula, and it's always different. So I think my personal feeling is those are all valuable. You should definitely learn all the possible. You should know every theory that you can. You should learn every formula you can get your hands on, and then you use them where they work for you on the project you are doing. There is no actual universal formula for anything. Okay, you can't look at and if you're, first of all, you have to decide, are you looking at a movie or a series? If you're looking at a series, is it a long series or a short series? Is it limited? I mean, and the formula would obviously change drastically. And are you doing the form of a James Bond film or Superbad? You can't say, oh, there's a universal story that fits No Time to Die and Superbad. That's just, I mean, there, and people will tell you that they've done it, that they've figured out, oh, this always happens. They are at best lying to themselves, desperately trying to. This just blows my mind with fury. Okay, here's the thing. If all stories broke down to the same essential formula, we would run out of story. Why would we watch different stories? What, for the decoration, for the paint color, because you changed the hair color on the characters? Every story is different. That's the point. Some are similar to others. Some follow certain traditions. Groovy. But to say that all stories have one formula is the death of art. I am just ranting on this one. I have very strong feelings. Okay. Okay. Did I just not my witness, not my weakness, and you are not the villain. You are a citizen who I am trying to save from the villain. Yes, indeed. This is my kryptonite. Okay. Let me just quickly go back to Mohammed, who said that he pitched the idea to a producer. He liked it, but he sent me an email asking me to send a log line, which I did. He's still asking for a log line that must be done this way. Okay. And he said, log line, a one-sentence summary of when inciting incident happens, our protagonist decides to do action against antagonist. Well, that's completely lovely for that producer. That is not even the universal form of a log line. That's just that producer's favorite formula. That is not the right way. I think it's a bad way, actually. I believe that a log line very often you are trying to actually like this whole, like the emphasis on you've got only 4 things in this log line, and one of them is the inciting incident, which is just a scene. It's far more important to know what their goal is, what their obstacles are. It's just I actually don't mind. I think the book Save the Cat is terrible. However, much of the chapter on log lines is excellent. This is what I'm saying. Learn every formula. Read every book you can afford to read and have time to read after you write. Always write first. Write first, study after. Write first, study after. But if you're gonna do it, try everything. You should definitely check out Save the Cat. There may be little things that click for you, and then they're great. Use them. Rules are tools. Theory is tools. These are all just things to use. And if you can't use it now, you put it back in the toolbox. You don't have to use every single tool in the toolbox every time. You use the tool you need at the moment. Okay. About characters and their voices. I think Karen Sorkin said everything character says has to move the story forward. Sorry. I'm just a little tired. No, not everything has to move the story forward. That is it okay to leave the character's voice up to the actor? If you mean physical voice, yeah, of course. If you mean what I was just talking about voice, no, that is your job. They may do their version of it, but you have to. Voice is a question of what they want, who they are, where they come from, what they talk like. Do they talk very fancy? Do they talk very down to earth? Do they talk short sentences or long sentences? Their voice is their method. Or do they ask a lot of questions, or do they make a lot of pronouncements? The voice is the way they speak and the attitudes behind the speaking. That's what a voice is. A voice is the attitude. It's the understanding of other people. It's their approach to other people. That's what a voice is, okay? Character voice. So the answer is it okay to leave that up to the actor? No, not at all. You have to give them that. They may go against it. They may do their own version of it. But your job as a writer is to give each character a voice. It's just that I, as a computer engineer that delves on AI, know that there can be a formula and placeholder type thing to create stories feeding these particular. Yeah, no, but that's not real. That's not writing. That's like saying DALL-E is painting. It's just not true. DALL-E is a mechanical process by which you take elements and mix them together. That is not the same as writing. AI, like companies have been working on this for a long time. AI, as yet, cannot create original material. They can create original material. Sure, monkeys with typewriters will create original material. Coherent, meaningful, powerful material, no. And is it just that you believe in that? Yeah. If you believe in that, if you can find it, fine. By the way, there are tons of people who are providing these formulae. There are books and software where people are saying, this is the formula for stories. All I'm telling you is, it's just a formula. It's not the formula. But if you have a formula you like, sure, use it. Absolutely. Sometimes I will take a formula. I will say like, oh, I'm going to do a Sherlock Holmes formula. I'm going to take the formula of Sherlock Holmes cases, which there basically was one. Most of his cases fell into a certain formula. And I'm going to follow that, but I'm going to disguise it in such, but yeah, I could take the formula of rom-coms, which while there are many, many rom-coms and some fall outside of the formula, there is enough formulaic material that I could put together my idea of a formula for a rom-com and then fit into it. Sure, but that's not the formula for stories. That's where you can't do it. You can say, I have the formula for a Richard Curtis rom-com, who's the British writer who did Notting Hill and Love Actually and Four Weddings and a Funeral. He's a terrific writer. But he's also, everyone has their own formula, just like Tarantino has a formula. Everybody's got their style, their way of working. So can you do that? Sure. Is it a good idea? No, it's going to make bad art. Any good artist absorbs formulae and then uses pieces of them in their own unique way. That's what art is. That's what artists do. Nobody works completely originally, and no one just follows a formula. What keeps dialogue from being boring? For me, the number one thing that keeps dialogue from being boring is that it has meaning to the characters and the story in the moment. In other words, it's not just talk. They are trying to accomplish something in the moment. It doesn't have to be moving the story forward. They could be accomplishing escaping from the story for half an hour. That's cool. That's absolutely like there's a lot of things that can happen in a story that are not, quote, moving the story forward. But what I think keeps dialogue from being boring is when the characters are engaged in an action in the moment, when they are speaking as a dramatic action. And about that, I will just urge you to watch this video, Dramatic Action, to explain what I mean by dramatic action. Because dramatic action can be refusing to speak. Like I've said, dramatic action can be sitting down by the side of a river and watching the water. That is, in fact, it's an amazing action in the show Breaking Bad. There's a character named Mike who at a very crucial moment sits and watches the water, a river flowing. All I can say is every single moment of dialogue is intended. It's intentional. Someone is trying to do something. Sometimes all they're trying to do is make fun of the other person. That's legit. That's an action, okay? Sometimes the character is just trying to amuse themselves because no one's listening to them. That's a great character. We've all seen that a lot. Somebody's just sitting in the back of the room making comments about the other people and interjecting things that no one's paying attention to. That's not moving the story forward. However, it's action. They are taking an action. That's what I believe is the key to good dialogue. Learn the form to break it. Absolutely true. Thank you. I'm glad you do. Picasso famously mastered different forms. He mastered Cubism and then he left it. That Picasso is famous for not only learning, because there's not one form of art, and there is not one form of screen storytelling. How about Dan's story circle? Yeah, I don't. Once again, Dan's Harmon's story circle is a lovely. If it helps you, that's great. To me, it doesn't help me because it's too vague. Not all stories go that way. They just don't. It's a thing that's applied to stories afterwards. For him, for Dan Harmon, it helps him think of new things to engage in. Great. I don't find those particular items helpful. But if you do, the point is they are these tools that help you write your story. Not, I'm going to match this to the formula. Matching the formula is going to create formulaic work. Duh. Okay. If your job is filling in the boxes of someone else's plan, you are going to write paint by numbers. You are going to write, a thing that's pre-planned. It's going to be bad writing. Dan Harmon's story circle is useful if it helps you to think, okay, what is this step, this step, this step? And then you come up with original things that make them work for you. Great. But once again, I do not personally think that there is such a thing as a formula which you fill in to write a story. Yeah. Okay. Oh, look, Maria's here. Hi, Maria. Okay, well, we are clearly not getting any writing done now. My story is very complex. My hero has a goal in Act 1, but completely changes in Act 2. Well, you should think about that also. If your story completely changes in Act 2, why? It should be a question of he may have chosen a goal which is not getting him to, chosen a path that is not getting him to his goal. If his goal actually completely changes in Act 2, then you're actually starting a new story. if the first goal is a step towards the second goal, or if the goal changes because they discover they've been on the wrong path, then actually whatever the goal is in Act 2 is actually the real goal, and the other one's simply a mistake on the way to the real goal. Does that make sense? Are you understanding what I'm saying there? Anyway, the answer is, if you want to make that producer happy, do what that producer asked. If you can't, then you can't make that producer happy, move on. If it's, you don't have to actually change your story. If a log line should be, you should be able to create whatever format of log line somebody wants out of your story. That's my opinion. Will I be alive tomorrow? I sure hope so. I'm intending to be. Assuming I am alive, I hope to be alive tomorrow. Well, 6 questions, as I was saying before, it's a tool, and I think it is a useful tool. It's not the thing is, the 6 questions are not a structure. They're just a bunch of things to help you figure out what the structure is you want to use. That's the key. Then what do I do with my ideas? I don't know how to write. I don't know how to structure, but I have ideas that I think could be better. Okay, well, first of all, if you don't know how to write, you got to have models in your mind that you think it's like, right? You've got an idea. That idea is going to be for a type of story that you are going to recognize as, I've seen a story like this. It was Star Wars. It was the Philadelphia story. Whatever it was, take that structure, But the whole point is that the structure of Casablanca and the structure of Psycho are substantially different. And you can't just take a universal structure. You can take a structure that you like, which is why I said, take art apart, good content. What you want to do is look at the art, and please watch this video to know what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, if you have an idea for a story, and that story is a Western, and you have certain Westerns in your mind, because you wouldn't have thought of a Western if you hadn't seen any Westerns. So whatever Westerns you are thinking about, try using those as the beginnings of your structure. You're obviously going to have to change it to fit your story, but the basic idea of like, oh, look, there's a showdown, or oh, there's this, or that's the point. That's where you do it. So yeah, but the answer is, by the way, also the other thing is, what do I do with my ideas? I don't know. The structure, there are certainly lots and lots of how to structure a story, videos, books. You should start with Sid Field. Start with the easiest, simplest formula I know. Sid Field, screenplay. Hold on, let me see if I've got this here. Yeah, here we go. Boom. Sid Field, screenplay. Very, very simple book that explains a whole lot of basic structure. However, there is now way too much screenwriting advice. There is no shortage of people telling you the structure. Oh, you know what another one is good? Is this. It's Michael Arndt's video on endings. Just Google it. It's called Pandemonium, I think. I don't know. But anyway, the point is Michael Arndt video on endings. You put that into your search engine, you will come up with this like 2-hour video where he talks about basic structure. The answer is there is no shortage of structure. You just can't find the one universal proper structure because it doesn't exist. You're welcome. Yeah, probably true. Okay. Joseph Campbell did not prove that. He didn't even try to prove that. He wrote this one book where he said that all stories were alike. He also wrote other books which said that there's totally other things. People have so misunderstood Joseph Campbell because The Hero with a Thousand Faces got co-opted by the screenwriting teaching industry, partly because of George Lucas making those great videos, which they're wonderful videos with Bill Moyers interviewing Joseph Campbell. They're fabulous, but they do not prove that all stories have the same formula. Joseph Campbell was applying a theory which even his own books prove wrong. He wrote 4 books called The Masks of God, which explore all sorts of mythology, which go in all sorts of forms. And by the end of it, he came to say those formulae only fit certain times and cultures, and there is no universal one, and that we have reached a time when people are doing creative mythology. Joseph Campbell, and yes, I see that you're just kidding, but people vastly misunderstand Joseph Campbell. The Hero with 1,000 Faces is a psychoanalytic academic attempt to say that all stories are one. Even he could not convince himself of that. Okay, he's telling a good story. It's a very central story to much of Western mythology. However, it's truly, truly not all one story. Hi, Ray. Maria and Natasha are saying hi. Okay, we're getting to we're definitely getting to the end. This is where I'm stuck. Do I need to write my log line on the first echo? What I just said. Your character should not completely change goals in the middle. You can. It would be an unusual structure. I'm not going to say you can't make a story work that way, but it would be unusual because the audience would feel like the story ended and then a new story began. What you really, I think, will probably find is that what's happening is the first act goal is a step toward the second act goal. So the second act goal is the real goal. That's my guess. If you look at it, you'll find out. I don't know. Okay. Joie de moi. Hello. How much detail you say is too much detail aside. I did a video on that. I will put that in the description because I'm closing down in a few minutes. I did an Ask Me Anything where I actually got character descriptions, but setting descriptions work the same way, from like 20 really good scripts to show you how different they are. There is no formula for it. In general, my answer would be less is more. My other answer would be try to work on describing things that are important to the feelings and goals and style of the person, not their physical self and not their fashion sense. I mean, unless that relates to their character. So Joie de moi, I will look in the description after this is over. Give me about 10 minutes. It'll show up in the description. There'll be a link to the answer to that question. I'm actually stopping personal one-on-one tutoring. I apologize. I can't do it. I can't afford the time and the emotional weight of doing it. So I'm planning to actually remove that part of my website in the next few weeks. So the answer is, alas, I am no longer doing one-on-one coaching. But what I would say is watch my videos. First of all, I'm going to be making more of them. And second of all, these videos, these ones here that you can find on the first 3 playlists. Okay, this is where you get all the juicy good stuff. The first 3 playlists on my channel, that's everything I have to tell you. That's all my secrets. That's everything. And there's more to come, but that's everything in the best form I've got for you. Yeah, exactly. Pick something you like and write your version of it. Write inspired by it. Steal what you find useful, and that's it. Okay. Yes, break down and study masters. Break down and not even masters. Break down and study like junk that you like. It doesn't matter. The main thing to do is like I said, take art apart, look at it, and really start to formulate what your particular constellation of influences is. Excuse me. It doesn't even have to be art. Sometimes your influences are personal memories, feelings, things you want to express about your life. Those can be the things that are guiding you. It's all a part of it. The form that you take should be based on the things that you like. The things that when you watch something, you go, oh, I like that. I get that. I feel that. It's that clicks with me. Then watch that 25 times and stop and break it down and really analyze it. Okay. You are entirely welcome, everybody. Everybody's good. You are entirely welcome. And it is time to say so long. Until tomorrow. Yes, Maria, I will be here tomorrow. So until then, you guys, go write something. Yeah.